On today's show, we've made it to the rookie tournament. This morning, the Sens youngsters were on the ice, and today we're each going to highlight 3 players to watch this weekend.
We got to look at some of the projected lines for these rookies. We're going to take a look at some top prospects, a goaltender, and some honorable mentions as well.
All that and more on today's Locked On Sens.
I'm Jake Sanderson.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
You're Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome! You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens. On the outskirts of enemy territory, I'm Ross Levitan, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. Today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. I just used my code LOCKEDONNHL for tickets to the home opener. Pillsy and I will be boots on the ground in section 321. 321. Thanks to GameTime. Get your $20 off. Terms do apply with the code LOCKEDONNHL. You can also follow the show on social media. We're at Sens Central on Twitter and LockedOn.Senators on Instagram. You can find us everywhere you get podcasts, free and available on YouTube. Today is Thursday, September 12th, and Pillsy is nothing sacred anymore. The Senators this morning announcing a jersey sponsor patch on their away kits.
Yeah, Ross, you and I have been on different sides of this one. You're the dreamer. You want everything prestigious, and the jersey to you is an art piece, which I understand. I appreciate that, but I had to break the news to you. I got bad news. Unfortunately, I'm sure the Senators, when they were looking for a road jersey ad sponsor partner, they didn't say, let's find us a red, black, and gold sponsor, and we'll give it to them for the cheapest price. I have a feeling the color was not the main part of the negotiation in deciding which sponsor would get the rights to be on that jersey.
The company that gets the victory is Calian. Now, what is Calian? Calian is an IT company. They say they help people communicate, innovate, learn, and lead safe and healthy lives. For more, maybe Calian could throw a sponsorship our way. We can keep the Kumbaya train going all the way around. Now, of course, don't love the blue in there. I appreciate how the CIBC one for the Senators home jersey is just seamless. It's a lot more ingrained. But you know what? Get your paper. Make your money. It's clear the Senators are hiring more staff. They're making upgrades to the arena. So go get your money to pay for it. As long as we see a winning product on the ice, I'm not going to complain about a 2x4 patch on the corner of the jersey. It's the reality. Even teams that are printing money like the Montreal Canadiens and have a historic jersey like that have added a jersey sponsor patch to it.
The Leafs had Milk and TikTok as theirs. Yeah, that just goes to show. And Ross, we've always maintained we've been big Calian guys. So this was great news for us.
Well, as long as we don't turn into the European leagues where their pants are full of sponsorships and the jersey, you don't even know which one the logo is. As long as we stay with this tiny little patch, I'll bend, but I'm not breaking. I'm not going to allow that.
And I'm with you there, Ross. Like, there is a limit. Like, I don't want to go full European NASCAR tracks. Yeah.
European NASCAR is F1.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Good call. But I think, too, it's good to only have one for that kind of prestigious, like, you're the only one that's going to have rights to that space. As soon as you start sprinkling in other ads to try to make a little bit more money, it loses its shine, it loses its value. So I hope the NHL sticks to one. Otherwise, you might see me leaning more over to your side of the fence where I'm outraged that teams are trying to make money off their jerseys.
So that's enough jersey talk for now. But I can't wait to watch these things fly out around on the ice this weekend. If you're watching on YouTube, we've put the schedule for the rookies on the side in our rundown. If you're listening, New Jersey Devils 3:30 on Friday, noon on Saturday Eastern against the Pittsburgh Penguins, and Monday against Columbus at 1:30 p.m. Before we get to a whole lot of players that we individually want to watch this weekend, there's such an obvious number one that we're just going to count. 3, 2, 1. Carter Yakimchuk.
There we go.
7th overall pick, first time out wearing Sens gear on the ice. It's not for me going to be, oh, he needs to produce offensively. I want him to look comfortable and have it give me more optimism of how he's going to look among NHLers next week when he steps foot on the ice at main camp.
Yeah, the main thing for me, Ross, is similar to what you mentioned, comfortable, but I'll elevate it to a little bit more optimistic and a little bit more expectation. I don't want him to be comfortable. I want him to be confident. I want to see that confidence out on the ice, right? Like, I want him to clearly be in control of the situations. I want him to be the obvious number one defenseman where you can tell he's kind of the general out there. Everything goes through him on the power play. When the puck is in the Sens zone, he's the one that starts it in transition, and everyone's waiting for him to get things going. That's what I want to see from Carter Yakimchuk, because we know the Ottawa Senators valued his size. If you don't know the Sens value size, take a look at their third D pair. We'll get into that later. But we want to see that he's not just a big kid that racks up PIMs and can lay open ice hits. Let's see what he can do with the puck. He scored 30 goals in the WHL as a defenseman. That's what I want to see, is confidence with the puck.
Well, will that be okay with you then if he's trying things and they aren't always working? Because that's the yin-yang that offensive defensemen have to be able to balance, because if he goes out and has a couple turnovers in the first period and a half, then we could see a much more timid and maybe cautious Yakimchuk later on in the second and third game. You don't want him to just jump for the sake of jumping and then potentially have it blow up in his face.
That great follow-up question, Ross. And I think it's important to talk about this. I don't want him out there trying things and, trying to impress and have highlight reel plays. He's already been doing that in the WHL. When you draft a defenseman in the first round, 7th overall, you don't want to see him doing those junior things where he's pulling off those crazy dangles. I mean, sure, you want to know that he can do that, but the issue is he's been doing that and dominating like that in the WHL. His WHL career is coming to a close. He's in the Sens rookie tournament. He's drafted by an NHL team. You need to start seeing him play like an NHL defenseman would start playing, and especially, Ross, a rookie or young NHL defenseman. You can't pull off those moves in the NHL, so you can't rely on being able to do that. When I say I want to see him confident with the puck, I want it to be more in a way where he doesn't feel the need that he needs to do those crazy dangles. I want him making simple, smart, safe, responsible decisions, but also in a way that he's like, I know I can do this without having to go into my bag of tricks. That's kind of what I'm getting at, because we don't want him to continue these, I don't want to call them bad habits, but in junior, you can get away with things. We don't want him to think that he's going to be able to do that. And then when he's not able to do that, as he rises in competition levels, his confidence falls through the roof. He needs to find different ways that he's going to be able to create offense. And that's what I want to see here.
He's going to be the highest drafted 2024 player in Buffalo. The teams there, among the others, I already mentioned the ones Ottawa's playing: New Jersey, Pittsburgh, and Columbus. Buffalo, Boston also there. Caden Lidstrom, 4th overall pick by Columbus, is out with a back injury. He's not going to play in this tournament. So Yakimchuk at 7th overall, the top 2024 draft pick in this event. So it'll be really fun to see his first time wearing that pro jersey. Over a point per game in the WHL, 71 in 66. And 120 penalty minutes as well. He'll be wearing number 58 on the Senators blue line. We're going to get back to our list, each with top 3 players to watch at the rookie tournament. But on the other side, we've got lines. We've been waiting. The Sens on the ice right now as we speak. We've got at least the top 6 up front, and we've got the 3 D pairs to expect to see on Friday. We'll tell you who that is next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Indeed. We're driven by the search for better, but when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch that busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help hire faster. 93% of employers agree that Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites. So what are you waiting for? Join over 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your job more visibility at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on the Locked On Senators podcast. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Today's episode is also brought to you by our friends at Mary J's. It's the dispensary. When you're heading to Ottawa, it's Mary J's. It's three best friends who made a life-changing decision when they opened their first store in Kingston. You know the one, right by Queens. They slept in air mattresses on the floor of the sales room just to make ends meet. And now they've got 4 stores in the Ottawa area on top of Kingston. They've got Riverside South, Orleans, Greeley, and Russell. Mary Jane's offers the absolute best and newest products in the market with many new additions every single week. Mary Jane's has everything you need, whether you're new, looking to get your feet wet, or a seasoned pro and already know what you want. Mary J's offers competitive pricing. In fact, they will price match any store in Ottawa. That means you're guaranteed to get the best price around at a Mary J's location. So go in, say what up to Dashy, talk some Sens, and pick his brain about the latest and greatest at Mary J's. Check them out, Mary J's, and also their loyalty card. Very good to save money. Mary J's Dispensary. All right, Pillsy, we've made it to the roster. I had to get some dust off of this graphic. It's been, too long. I was taking names out that I had no clue even played for the Ottawa Senators. The Yuri Smejkal era? What? That happened?
Yeah. Hey, he got his goal. He got his goal and went home.
It only took him till game 82 of the season for him to get there. But today we were able to reorganize the depth chart for the Ottawa Senators. We actually, funny enough, did this yesterday, but now we actually have proper lines. So I was able to put it all together, and we've got our top 6. Credit to Graham Nichols at Graham Nichols. He runs the 6 Cents blog, or Built in a Day. Rome was built in. He's a longtime athletic writer too, contributor. So you know Graham Nichols, guest on this show. He tweeted out the lines first. We're like, hey, it's a speed race. We need all media, hands on deck. Everyone was there today, all the local media. And Graham Nichols, congratulations. You are the winner of quickest lineup tweeted out. Very prestigious honor. No surprise at the number 1 center, Stephen Halliday, 22 years old. He's a guy who should be one of the more dominant players in this tournament. And then one of the Senators' historic 4th round. A lot of people are saying that 4th round with Javon Moore, Blake Montgomery, and this man, Luke Ellenis, are a huge reason why the Senators were able to salvage some value later on in that draft class. And Oscar Pistol Pete on the right side. That's the top line, Halliday, Ellenis, and Oscar Pettersson. The second line, Philip Daoust with Stuart Roloffs and Tyler Boucher, who has just come out and said in the media as we're speaking that he's 100% healthy. 100% healthy. Funny enough, Billsy, the only other forward that's associated with the Ottawa Senators in a contractual basis is Jake Chiasson. But then the back end, this is where it gets interesting. So Philip Nordberg, the extra among the 7 affiliated Senators prospects. Other than that, we've got Andonovsky and Carter Yakimchuk, Tomas Hamara with Jorian Donovan, some familiarity there with their time in the OHL, brief albeit with Brantford. Hamara got traded there, and then a few weeks later, Donovan got traded to Saginaw. And then the third pair. One of the tallest D pairs in hockey history.
Yeah.
6'8" Gabriel Eliasson and 6'7" Jabril Toure. Levi Marilainen in goal. Pilsy, what was your first reaction when you saw? Let's focus on the D-core because I think there's the most meat to chew on.
I think this decor is lined up really nicely. Like Andonovski and Yakimchuk, I think there's a lot of yin and yang there. Andonovski, a very responsible defenseman, and then Yakimchuk, like we already talked about, that's a guy that will take some risks for sure, and he has a little bit more offensive pop to his game. Hamara and Donovan, I think that's a good second pairing where both of them, we've kind of had them tied at the hip ever since they were drafted. And now Donovan, his stock has risen a lot more. So it'll be interesting to see how those two play together. And then Eliasson and Toure, I mean, these guys are just absolute monsters out there. Ross, unfortunately, it's giving me flashbacks of Ben Roger and Chandler Romeo, which I was at that rookie tournament when they were a D pair, and maybe it was a little too much size. I'll just say that, but I think Eliasson and Toure can fare better than those two did.
I'm curious to see who's going to be the main puck transporter on that line. Like, who's breaking the puck out of the zone? Who's making that first read crispy right on the tape pass? That's going to be my biggest question. Maybe I would have put Gabriel Eliasson on the right side with Jorian Donovan or Hamara, and then had the other one with Jabril Toure. But it looks like Jorian Donovan is the chosen left shot to play the right side, as Yakimchuk and Toure are the only two right shot defensemen at camp, including Nordberg, who's on the left side and also on the 7th D for what we have here on our list. Now, Anthony Cristoforo and apologize, number 90 more, we'll call him. Make the main camp and we'll dive into who you are. But I think that it's fair to say maybe those guys are right shots as well. But with these 6 there, I mean, it makes total sense. Yesterday, we had Jorian Donovan with Yakimchuk, but I mean, Matthew Andonovski. So those two combined for 244 penalty minutes in CHL play last year between Andonovski and Yakimchuk. They're not afraid to get physical and make plays too, both of them. So I'm excited to see those two guys together, and we'll get into more individually what we're looking at. We think probably a game each for the goalies. Levi Merilainen, Michael Simpson from the London Knights last year signed a one-way AHL contract this year with Belleville. And they brought in David Igorov, who's the goalie for Hanlauer's OHL team, the Brantford Bulldogs. All right, Pilsy. We covered Carter Yakimchuk. We still have a lot more names to get to, though, on our list, which is almost interesting in and of itself that a team with, frankly, not the deepest prospect pool, there are still a lot of names that we just looked at that deserve attention as potential future impact players in Ottawa.
Yeah, and we're going to give them that attention right after this break.
Oh, what a tease, Pilsy. That's coming up next. You're listening to Locked On Senators. It's your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at GameTime. Ross and I love using GameTime to get tickets to sports games. We just got a dozen tickets.
12
to the Ottawa Senators home opener. Thanks to GameTime. We were stressed. We left it too late. But with GameTime, you don't need to stress. You can get GameTime tickets for sports, comedy, and theater. Check out the all-in pricing. Turn the feature on so that you get the price of your tickets right off the bat. No surprise fees at checkout. Get seat views, a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, the lowest price guarantee, or GameTime is going to credit you 110% of the difference. And GameTime's ticket coverage is the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download GameTime today. What time is it? Game time.
All right, Pilsy, here we are breaking down our top 3 players each to watch at rookie tournament. And it was a unanimous number 1. It's Carter Yakimchuk. Of course it is, but there are plenty more players deserving of a little breakdown, including 10th overall pick from the 2021 draft, Tyler Boucher, a friend of the show, and I feel awful for the amount of injuries and inconsistencies that he's had to endure since being drafted, even going back to his draft year. This guy's never played more than 30 odd games in a year. But when you see him out there, and you and I had the chance to watch him at Dev Camp last year, and we're like, him and Stephen Halliday are by far the best players, most talented players out on the ice. He can rip the puck. He plays hard. He plays downhill. He forechecks. He hits. EP called him the most physical player in his draft class. The only problem, insert Moneyball meme here, the only problem is that to play that style, you have to be physically on top of not getting hurt. And unfortunately, whether it's been freak injuries or what, he hasn't been able to string enough games together to find a consistency and rhythm in what he's doing.
Yeah, and that's been the tough spot with Tyler Boucher. TSN 1200 tweeted out that Boucher said he's made some changes to how he's trained this summer, though. So he's added some Pilates to his workout to help with flexibility. And I think that's good, too, because I think maybe,
he's too jacked, too tough, too strong.
Well, and that's the thing, Ross. You're so worried, and I'm not saying this is true. This is just me speculating.
Well, you can relate.
Yeah, I'm just so jacked. I'm always doing Pilates too. But you're so worried about staying healthy that you're like, okay, to stay healthy, I got to make sure I'm at the top of my game in the gym. And then you push it too hard in the gym, and then it ends up causing problems. So I think changing his workout routine will do some good, hopefully. And we need to see a healthy Tyler Boucher. I know, Ross, a lot of people want to see him flying out of the gate and putting up big points. For me, it's kind of similar to the Yakimchuk analysis I gave, but this time I'll use comfortable. I want him to be comfortable out there, making routine hits, finishing his checks, not being afraid to go into the boards, just things like that where we can observe Boucher, because we haven't got to see him a lot, which is unfortunate, but I want to see how he plays. And he can say he's 100%, but until fans see him go through the motions and get some time in and see that he's comfortable out there, I think that's going to be a big boost to his confidence and the way he's able to play this year.
One of the best stories this season would be if Tyler Boucher can establish himself as a legitimate prospect who's been able to stay healthy and produce on an every night basis. He'll have a lot of help. Right. He's going to start in Belleville. There's no question about that. And like, imagine him with like a goal scorer like Adam Gaudette. Like, he's going to be around a lot better talent than I think he's ever been before in terms of where he was in the lineup last year at the AHL level. He's playing a lot of bottom six down there too. I think they're even deeper now, man.
That's what I was going to say. This roster might be even tougher to get into the top six. Not that he can't do it, but
that's the thing. He should be able to. Yeah. I think if he's given opportunity, we'll see what happens. Tyler Boucher certainly going to be a player to watch this weekend at the prospect tournament. And it's also interesting to note those are the two top 10 picks that the Senators are bringing to camp, and the only first rounders that they're bringing to camp as well. Who's next up for your players to watch at this year's Sens rookie tournament?
Well, Ross, you mentioned we were at the Dev Camp, not this year, but last year, and Tyler Boucher was one of the players that impressed. One of the other players that impressed and was the buzz around the rink was my pick, Stephen Halliday. I'm very excited to see what Stephen Halliday can do here. He's 22 years old, 6'3", 215 pounds. So, like, He's got the age, he's got the size, and he's got the skill to really dominate this tournament. I don't want to see confidence, comfortableness from Halliday here. I want to see dominance, because the way he entered the AHL from college, that's a tough thing to do. It seemed like a seamless transition for him, and he really shined in the playoffs. As you can see, this picture here, him selling in the playoffs with Belleville. I was at a couple games, Ross. By far, he was Belleville's best player in the playoffs, which is crazy because they have top prospects. They have guys that have been there for years, and Halliday stepped in and he made the biggest impact, in my opinion. So I want to see him as the top point producer for the Sens in this rookie tournament.
He turned pro after 2 successful seasons at Ohio State University. And what's he do? Steps in, and in the regular season and playoffs combined, 12 assists and 14 points in 17 American Hockey League games. His thing is never going to be pace. It's going to be tempo and being able to slow the game down to the pace he wants to play at and then make smart decisions. You mentioned seamless transition. This guy only has one seam in mind, and that's going cross ice for a tap-in backdoor to his teammates. He's the type of player that the head coach of his team told us this summer that guys are going into his office saying, hey, can I play with Steven? I want to play with Halliday because that guy can dish the puck. You know what? Bold prediction time. Steven Halliday will have as many goals this weekend as he has in his AHL career. 2.
Oh, okay. Nice. I like it.
I also think he might not play in the third game. So I'm putting a little pressure on him to have a 2-goal night in either the first or second game of this event. Great call, though, Pilsy. Steven Halliday, certainly a player to watch at this year's event. Now back to me, where we will go big or go home with Gabriel Eliasson, the second-round pick, 39th overall. You know the deal. It was a bit of a surprise at the time, but he's come on the show. He's an absolute beauty. He's a great guy, and he just turned 18 3 days ago. This is the youngest player at this tournament, period. He's also the tallest, which means when you have that growth spurt, I can only imagine. I grew to 6'2". Imagine growing to 6'8".
Is he taller than Toure, confirmed?
Yes, he's 6'8", 221 pounds. He's gained, I believe, 8 kilos per source since Dev Camp in the last 2 months. But with that comes growing pains, not only on the ice, but just in everyday life and training and trying to figure out your coordination and like ladder drills and sprints, everything. You're like a baby deer all over again. And I think that the patient road is the right one to take with Eliasson, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to be glued every time he steps over the boards. Is he going to cross-check someone? Is he going to make a nice D-to-D pass? Is he going to blow one past a goalie with a nice shot from the point? I don't know what's going to happen with Gabriel Eliasson, but man, am I ever intrigued to find out.
Yeah, definitely. There's certainly a lot of intrigue about Eliasson. I've had a theme of using one word to describe my expectations for each player, so I'll keep that going, Ross. I'm going to stick with what you mentioned, patience. I'm not going to be, if there's a bad turnover, I'm not going to jump on it. I'm not going to get in my head and be like, oh man, all these other guys in the second round I could have picked. No. I'm not doing that. I'm patient. It's going to take time here, and there's a long road ahead of him. So my focus watching Eliasson is not to overreact to anything. Just let's see what he's got. Like you mentioned, that new frame that he's got is going to be interesting to see how that translates to his skating, most importantly. So patience will be the key with Eliasson.
It certainly will. Last year, Eliasson had 6 points in 36 games in U20 hockey, again, as a 17-year-old who had just turned 17, and 103 penalty minutes. By the way, there's a huge brawl between Sweden and USA at one of these tournaments. Rutger McGroarty is going to be on Pittsburgh. Just say.
True.
Just saying.
Yeah.
I know Oscar Pettersson had a bit of a discussion with Rutger McGroarty at one point and another. So just a little something to keep an eye on. The game within the game. Don't be surprised you'll see something extra between those U.S. national team kids and maybe a couple of the Swedes all across the tournament, not only in this game. I know there's no love lost at that age group between those two countries. Okay, Pilsy, who we got next?
All right, for my next pick, Ross, I will be sticking to the defense, and it's going to be Matthew Andonovski. I'm very excited about this guy. Our friend Sean Fafaro with Rogers TV covering the Kitchener Rangers had so many good things to say about Andonovski.
I think he's still talking about him.
Yeah. If you listen closely, you can still hear Sean talking about Ando. The captain of the Kitchener Rangers. And for people that maybe aren't invested in the OHL, the Kitchener Rangers are among a top tier. Well, the London Knights are probably on a tier of their own, but the Kitchener Rangers are in that next tier.
With the 67s?
Yes, of course. Of prestigious organizations. So to be named a captain of the Kitchener Rangers is a big deal. They don't take that lightly. And I think he's someone that's earned it. You look at 65 games last year, 7 goals, 25 assists. That's nice for a defenseman, Ross, but a plus 58 was the best in the entire OHL. Sean told us his take is that Matthew Andonovski will be the best defenseman in the entire league next season. And this is a guy that he focused on defensive side of his game for the start of his career, Ross, 110 OHL games, 0 goals. And then what does he do? Opening night of the first game last season, scores a goal and follows it up with another goal after. So now he's added a little bit of offensive ability to his game. Just like Jorian Donovan, this is a guy that has really risen up the charts. His stock is so high right now, and I'm very excited to see what he can do. So Matthew Andonovski is a player I will certainly watch. I don't have a one word here for Ando, so I'll sling it back to you and see if I can come up with one.
I've got one.
Oh, okay, go for it then, please.
Impressive. I
Okay.
think what he's done to kind of reshape his game and be able to put a lot more emphasis into the offensive side, that's not always easy. We usually see people be like, oh, I want to round out my game defensively, because offense, it's more skill, natural ability. What do you have? What kind of quick decisions can you make with the puck on your stick? So I think that that's a huge attribute. Now, let's go into fantasy world for just a moment.
Okay.
I didn't realize this because he was drafted in 2022. Pilsy.
Yes.
He's still eligible for World Juniors. How about a pair of Matthew Andonovski and Carter Yakimchuk? I mean, if he's going to be the best defenseman in the OHL, he should be at least considered. Just saying. So maybe we're seeing a preview of a shutdown type pair for Team Canada at the World Juniors with Andonovski and Carter Yakimchuk.
Ross, I like that. I had kind of overlooked that as well. Imagine we get 2 Sens prospects on the decor.
I messed up just by saying he's 2023 draft. I mixed up with the other Kitchener Rangers that they keep drafting. I think it was Hamara in 2022, but he is eligible for this World Juniors. But he was a 2023 pick, not 2022.
Yes, yeah. At the very least, he should deserve consideration. Like a guy that's put up these numbers is a captain of a team. Hopefully, Team Canada takes a look. So, Ross, people are saying that he is in consideration for Team Canada World Juniors.
Yeah, we're going to put him in consideration right now. If you're listening, management, Matthew Andonovski, amazing locker room guy, leader, and great player. Matthew Andonovski, a player to watch this weekend at the Sens development camp. Oh, I should be saying this. We'll pull up the roster at the end. Just take a screenshot. I know a lot of people, my mom included, if she tunes in this weekend, with all these rookies, right? You hear the names. You want to put the number with the names to have that all. So Andonovski will be wearing number 82 this weekend for the Ottawa Senators. Okay, next up we go to a player from the 2022 draft, an OHLer, and he's accomplished something that Matthew Andonovski is looking to. Play for Team Canada at the World Juniors. You like that, Pilsy? Little callback, we call that. Jorian Donovan is that guy for me. And his year was so incredible with the long run through the playoffs in the OHL, all the way to winning the Memorial Cup. We just added all his stats together. It's that impressive. 88 games between Brantford, Saginaw, playoffs, regular season, 59 points, plus 31, 183 shots on goal, while being sturdy defensively. Now, there's no doubt he had a bad World Juniors. Most of Team Canada did, but he was also a late addition and only got overseas like the night before playing his first game. So he was put in a pretty tough spot.
He wasn't set up for success. Yeah.
We're not going to hold it against him. But I think that you're seeing a trajectory from a 5th round pick that is super impressive. And I think that as he turns pro, we're really going to learn if that offense is going to translate or if he's going to have to just be that shutdown guy. But I think there's some offensive upside in his game too.
Ross, I see Donovan more as an effective two-way guy. I think his path in the pros won't be a shutdown guy, and it's not going to be an offensive riverboat gambler power play type of guy. It's going to be somewhere in the middle here. But again, this is a guy that has just been so incredible his last year. Yeah, like you look, 88 games played. That's including playoffs, I assume. But yeah, Donovan
and Memorial Cup.
Yeah. Okay. Donovan is a guy I think the Sens got a lot of value on when they drafted him. Like he was a 4th round pick, correct?
5th
round pick, and they got a lot of value there. So I'm very excited to see Donovan play here, and he's someone that Sens fans, I think he got lost in the shuffle a little bit before, but Sens fans need to elevate him in their kind of attention span list because he's climbing up that tier in Sens prospects lists.
I mean, he got an OHL title with Hamilton as well. So this is a guy who's played big games in his OHL career. 36 playoff games. The former Canada Laser, Upper Canada Cyclones minor hockey. Obviously grew up in Ottawa with his dad, Sean Donovan, around the Ottawa Senators in their development staff for all those years. So Jorian Donovan, a player to watch for. And also left shot playing the right side. I know I cringed when I saw it the first time. It's going to take some time, Sens fans, to get over seeing that every once in a while. Just go back and look at Phillips and Volchenkov together, both lefties, Chara and Redden. Ottawa once had 4 lefties in their top 4, and it was the best it ever was. But in all jokes aside, it will be interesting to see how he maneuvers playing on his offside.
Yeah. Don't think about Shabbat and Chikrin. Don't think about that.
Don't do it. Pillsy, your final player on this list. Thank goodness, as a goalie-friendly show, we got to get in the pipes.
Of course. We're going with Levi Merilainen. Only 22 years old, Ross, but this guy has stacked up a resume of playing in abundance of different leagues. He's played in Liga, OHL, NHL, AHL, and ECHL. Like, this guy has seen it all, and I think he can bring that experience and learning from playing in different leagues with different styles, with different teammates in front of him, different coaching, all these kinds of things, and he can use that to be a dominant goalie in this tournament, and there's no reason why he can't be, Ross. The Sens kind of had a decision to make. Are we going to stick with Mando, who we've invested a lot in, and he's been a good part of this organization? Or do we need to give Levi Merilainen a bigger slice of the pie in Belleville? And they decided that it was time to make that split and give Levi that elevated role, which I believe he's deserved. Happy trails to Mando. Great guy, great goalie. He's going to have a good time in Colorado. But Levi Merilainen, it was his time to be the official number 2 goalie in Belleville behind Mad Sogard. And he's had a lot of experience. And I really think, Ross, I was looking through his game logs, and when he went to the ECHL, there was a long stretch there. I think that really solidified to this organization that he didn't need to be there anymore. His
stats in the ECHL are hilarious.
That's what I'm going for. But I'm going to take a look at his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games, all wins. And in the ECHL, if people are familiar with that league, as a goalie, it's a great place to develop because the defensive structure is not that great. So you're getting a lot of shots. In all of those games, he faced 40 or more shots, except one of them, which he had 39 shots in and 8 straight wins. So, like, this guy is used to dealing with getting pucks on net and stopping them. So Levi Merilainen is going to be very interesting to watch here, and I think he's going to help this team win a couple games. I'm sure he'll only get 1 game, actually, so I don't think he's going to help them win a couple games. But the game he's in, I expect him to dominate.
I like that, Pilsy. And look, Merilainen is a 2020 draft pick. I believe him and Phil Daoust are the only 2020 draft picks still in this prospect tournament. We've got 2 guys who are already making 8 sheets at the NHL level. Ridley Gregg, Tyler Clevin, all coming out of that draft class. A couple other guys moved on in Sokolov and in Yarventi. But Levi Merilainen, the draft pick that once was Dylan DeMello in that trade back in the day, is now going to get his true opportunity. Now, it was unfortunate Mad Sogard got hurt in the playoffs, but he stepped in admirably in that final game, a 3-1 loss with an empty netter. He allowed 2 goals on 29 shots, and he hadn't played in like 3 weeks. So I'm excited to see Levi as well. We know his one-on-one skill is outrageously good in terms of penalty shots and breakaways in game, and we'll see how he can round out his game. But you mentioned all like the great games. He had a lot of great games and a few really bad ones last year. And I think just when you're a goalie, seeing the highs, as long as you keep seeing that, you can see that as you get older and more experienced, the lows will kind of shrink up towards the mean, and you'll hopefully still have those great performances as well as you learn how to navigate a professional season. All right, Pilsy, we got any honorable mentions? I mean, we basically covered every affiliated player that the Ottawa Senators are bringing, except for one. I do want to mention Oscar Pettersson, because I think that what we saw last year in the middle of the season when he came over wasn't getting the opportunity at Rogla. So he came over and had 7 points in 29 games. I think there's more to Oscar Pettersson. watch him to play in straight lines this weekend, be very physical, and put pucks on net. That's something that even in a limited role with Belleville, was still able to get 37 shots in 29 games. It rips off his stick, and it's going to be interesting to see. Whenever I watch him, I keep going back to what he said, Pillsy, Patrick Hornfist. Like, that is the perfect prototype for him to follow, and I hope he can get there because he's an awesome dude too.
Yep, friend of the show, been on a couple times. Go check out our interviews with Pistol Pete. And Ross, for his path to the pros, and he's aware of this, he needs to be an elite forechecker. If he's going to get into opportunities where he's going to have the ability to use that shot, he needs to show his line mates, his teammates, his coaching staff that he's going to forecheck hard to get that puck, keep it in the O zone so that he has time to get it in a position where he can use his other strength, which is his shot. So I want to see him being aggressive on the forecheck, a hound when that puck is loose in the offensive zone. That's what I want to see from Pistol Pete.
And we will have our first opportunity tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern against the New Jersey Devils youngsters. Saturday afternoon at noon against Pittsburgh. And then Monday at 1:30. And we will be live streaming the 1:30 game. It'll be a Manning cast style broadcast where we're just going to go live on YouTube. And we're going to hopefully be able to have the game on the screen with us. If we can't, we'll just all have the links together. And you can have us in the background audio and have the game on the screen. I'm sure some of you sickos out there have the 2 desktops set up. Feel free to throw us each on one of those, but it'll be a watch along type thing. We did it a couple of years ago, Pillsy, and it was really fun because this is so structured. We want to get our takes out and have some fun along the way. This is just like, hey, it's basically like an Ask Me Anything too. You can get going in the chat. It'll be more postcast vibe, but with the game going on live right in front of us. So I'm looking forward to Monday, and it also kicks off our 5 shows per week back to normal. It just feels like a great way to celebrate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited for that as well. And that's the final game of the rookie tournament. So we're going to cap it off like that.
They're putting in the B team for the final game, eh?
Hey, I'll take it.
Oh, it's awesome. Can't wait to see Sens hockey. And then they're on ice for the first time on September 19th. That is 1 week from today, next Thursday. We still have our organizational value rankings to get to. Those are going to start next week. We've made our list, checked it twice. It's ready to be unveiled. And tomorrow, we will have our final Ring of Honor this season. Pillsy, would you like to tee it up?
Yes, very appropriate Ring of Honor topic. As we're talking about the rookie camp and rookie tournament here, we're going to do the best Ottawa Senators rookies in franchise history. So that one becomes very interesting, Ross, especially when we're defining what exactly a rookie is. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, some people don't understand. We understand that this show would be nothing without you, the fan, the listener, the viewer. We really appreciate so much. Cannot have more excitement going into this upcoming season. I'm thrilled that Sens hockey is back. It truly feels like that 1 year handoff, that transitional period has taken place. And under new ownership, hopefully this Ottawa Senators team can put forth a more consistent effort in, night out, night in, or I should say results. The effort you don't want to question, but be able to produce more consistently for the great fans of this team. And we wouldn't be able to do the show without our great sponsors like the GLEBE Central Pub, Farm to Fork, Mary J's. So great to have all of these with us. If you have a small business, big business, whatever the case may be, and you want to get involved
even a medium business,
involved in advertising, you can do that right here on Locked On Senators. We appreciate you so much. Pillsy, any final thoughts on today's show? Anything we didn't get to?
Final thoughts. New mascot in town, Cubby with the Ottawa Black Bears. Love it. Hopefully Leams Martian doesn't tear him down already.
Well, you're our resident mascot. So what is your take on the Black Bears lacrosse team mascot? That's really, I mean, we know that the lion's the king of the animals, the animal kingdom, right? Is that true?
I think it's king of the jungle.
Oh, well, the jungle of the CTC now has a bear. Like, how's that relationship going to go?
Good. Hopefully. I mean, yeah, it's a good mascot. It's not goofy, but it's not too intimidating. It's a nice mixture of both. And I think he's got the side to side googly eyes. So he's always watching. He's always going to have something in his peripheral vision. So Cubby, welcome to Ottawa.
Free idea though. for the Ottawa Senators when they're playing the Boston Bruins. Don't do anything with Cubby, but just put some red around Spartakat's mouth.
Ooh.
He doesn't like bears when they play the Bruins.
Okay.
We'll leave you with that. For today, we say goodbye. Thanks so much. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast. Your team every day.